Welcome everybody to our July 3rd regularly scheduled DSCA meeting. Those folks on Zoom, are you hearing okay?
Yes.
Yes.
We had some,
David, is the
Yes.
meeting being recorded?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see the message or the question.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I've had some
good.
technical difficulty on my end, and I thought I had it figured out. At any rate, welcome to everybody on Zoom, and thank you for coming. I would observe that DSCA is one of the few boards that meets throughout the summer, and I applaud the board members and all for participating. There remains a lot to keep up with, and taking a break would probably be less than ideal. With that, let me try and establish a quorum. I think we have definitely a quorum. Jamie, Peter, Roger, Clark, and on Zoom we have Patrick and Peter Blanton, and Kathy is a committee member and an important committee member. Yeah, so we got 7 of our 10, so let's declare a quorum, please. Moving ahead.
I don't want chamomile.
I'm gonna mute that guy.
I didn't, would you folks, if you're not going to be speaking, please mute. We're picking up some background sounds, please. So with the quorum declared, we circulated the minutes. Were there any edits to that?
Minor edits that I'll got a name wrong.
Yeah, and okay. And speaking of that, Judy is not with us and able to be, so if people would take some notes, and I'll take a stab at minutes on the. So with that said, if there's nothing substantive, may I have a motion to adopt the approve the minutes? Peter and Jamie seconds. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Moving on to treasurer's report. Clark, what do you have?
Our checking account balance is $4,335.06. And that is after the $2,575 check I gave to Church of the Redeemer to hold our October event.
Right. So even with our balance at $4,500, we've got 6 months essentially to go without a lot of revenue. So we're
A lot of accounts payable.
No, Robin is out there. I will tell you that we are, last year at this time, we had $7,500 in the bank. We are short about $3,000 in revenue from both associates and condos.
okay. Well, we're going to have a heart to heart about some of these finances, because at $250 a condo building, it's not when we're paying $2,500 for a meeting room these days. And, most people, when they hear that it's $2,500 at the church, they're surprised.
We want to get in the business.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, with that said, we don't have a speaker this month. That was on purpose, because it was going to be, holiday eve, and just kind of take a break and maybe have a little bit shorter meeting here. Under old business, I put budget initiatives and priorities. I distributed, and a welcome to the mayor and vice mayor. It's good to see you folks here. I wanted to start with the mind map, and I have enough that I think everybody in the room has these. These we agreed, I think, going back to February, and I wanted to just do a check-in with us on how we're doing. And one of the reasons is the city is about to have their budget workshops. And we want to the extent we still are agreed, or these are key things that we're kind of behind, now this is where the rubber hits the road. Is the commission staff inclined to fund some of these initiatives in a way that we feel appropriate? So let me just start with the streetscape in the top right. The Boulevard of the Arts and 10th effort, as I think you all know from, unfortunately, we got some bad news about 10 days ago that the RAISE grant for $12 million that the city applied for the third time. And I personally looked at the grant package, and I'm no expert at that stuff, but they continued to refine it and enhance it, and we didn't get it. There were only 4 Florida winners, so to speak. I think Peter and I casually looked at some of the other winners.
We looked at all 4 of the winners, and one maybe exceeded our expectation. The other 3 clearly did not, in my opinion.
So the question is, where we sit on this is 60% designs are kind of in the process. I did talk to Nick Patel about this the other day, and in the back of our mind, we kind of casually thought of a plan B. And what I think staff has in mind is the potential of dividing these into maybe what I call 4 modules. So Boulevard of the Arts and 10th, but maybe peeling off from those, the roundabout at Orange would be one possibility. The other is to peel off the very important 41 in Boulevard of the Arts one, because that's potentially one where FDOT might play more of a role. Nick tells me that the budget submission he made was made before we knew we didn't get the 12 million bucks. So I'm at a loss of exactly what to do. There was $12 million from the grant and about $3 million from penny tax. The question is what the staff recommend as far as prioritizing the shame. Some of you seen, I've just updated some of the new construction estimates. There's like 1,000 new dwelling units coming to the Rosemary alone. You can see right across the street here that these aren't maybe projects. They're moving. There's 400 apartments coming within a quarter of a mile here. So I'm looking for thoughts on any ideas on this. And again, we just learned of it a week or so ago. One thing that I have brought up as a question for years now is the allocation of multimodal transportation impact fees for projects such as this, because they haven't been allocated so far to the Rosemary district. But of course, allocating to this need may take away from somebody else's need. Thoughts? No?
No, you have an enormous lot up the street from you on Coconut. What's going in there behind
Oh, that's 253 apartments.
apartments?
Right. And the one over here is
More
apartments.
rentals.
Right.
If you build it, they will come.
So at any rate,
Well,
this,
one of the considerations that we really did put all of our eggs into one basket, that race grant. And maybe we need to look at how we could, as you started to split that out, and maybe look for other grant opportunities, community foundation, some other opportunities rather than trying to focus all efforts on one. That didn't work well for us.
right, it hasn't worked 3 times now.
Right.
And the other concern, of course, is, basing these projects on grants to begin with, you know, with hopefully. Now, one thing we will know, the assessor's office in the next couple of weeks will come out with the final assessed valuations. I mean, subject to challenges, but we should know. I think the Kelly Strickland was estimating 9% in her estimate. So if there are increases north of that, there may be some additional revenues that we're anticipating. I think last year, the difference between the estimate and the real was as much as 3%, but I don't think that's going to be. So I did meet with Commissioner Batty today. We talked about this issue. I think we're kind of looking for this plan B is in what staff recommends. I remind us all that Boulevard of the Arts and 10th are in the Sarasota master plan. So this is not something that DSCA advocated for outside of the master plan. It's in the master plan. The two of them are reasonably high priorities. If anything, we've got accelerated growth since that master plan is done. We'll have 5,000 people in the Rosemary district in the next 4 to 5 years. That's, you know, going on 8% of the city's population in 130 acres, 0.2 of a square mile.
How many people are there now?
About 3,800.
So you're gonna more than double.
No, 38 to 5. So I think it's,
Oh.
my calculation was 28% increase.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing was Maine. That continues along as far as I know, and the concept thing. It's a good thing. Fruitville is what I don't know. If I'm not mistaken, there may be a couple $100,000 to study that or whatever. But we'll be looking for that when the budget comes out. I would encourage the city to fund, you know, continuing to look at that. Affordable housing on the top left, a number of things have gone on, and whether one totally agreed with the initiative the city passed here 6 months ago, it is bearing some fruit. 20 affordable units here, 20 there, 10 here. Some cases 2, in one case, one building 1. Moving cultural enhancement support, the Performing Arts Center. If you were watching the city commission meeting the other day, city approved a budget for $2 million and change for architectural concept work. And then they also approved an engineering study for the Van Wezel for $200,000. So those are moving. Downtown Sarasota master plan update. My understanding is $450,000. I heard that from Howard Davis, if that's enough. The good news is I'm also told that a couple of the firms that presented at the speakers series are amongst the bidders for that business. So that's the economic strategic plan is underway with community input scheduled for sometime in August. I tried to make the case for some earlier involvement, but that appears not to be happening, but that's kind of underway. Enhanced downtown transportation options. Let's come back to that one under the transportation section. And revised DRC and meaningful neighborhood input. 3D modeling is moving ahead, and I understand even more money is being allocated in next year's budget. Urban forestry program is moving ahead too. So I think even though we have some not so hot news, that a number of the initiatives that we were behind there is some movement on those. The one that is going to be an increasing issue in the Rosemary is parking. And that, as I discussed with Commissioner Bettine this morning, is the opportunities for parking for the Rosemary and for Performing Arts Center, or whatever. What kind of needs can be met. So I just wanted to start the meeting with kind of a big picture of where things stand as far as budget process goes. There's workshops the 22nd, 23rd of July. As we know, resident comments may not be made, maybe in the last day. I think there's an hour or so, and then the budget would be adopted early in 2 phases, early to mid-September. So the budget books are not out yet, but when they are, we can take a look and see what we observe and what our constructive recommendations might be. And again, I'm pleased that the downtown master plan, I think we all were very excited about those presentations. See that some funding for that seems to be on the table. We hope that it's enough to do more than a touch-up, to what was done. City updates, Kathy, you have anything in particular for as far as city updates? You're muted.
No, actually, David, you and I attended the meeting this past week, and I think that you've got a good handle and just spoke to a couple of things coming up regarding workshops and things. So, no, I do not.
Okay. The only thing I have is I talked to Jennifer Jorgensen yesterday or the day before, and she's in the midst of the special events ordinance redo. They have something drafted that Bob Fournier is taking a look at, and she is planning a community outreach meeting of some kind in August, if I'm not mistaken. And she and I discussed if it would be wise to do a little bit more focused DSCA group meetings separate from a bigger one, and she actually recommended that. So it's a question of how and when we might do that. But she's really interested in getting more just downtown, shall we say, input to what she's working on. Committee status reports. Ken is not with us. Let me take a stab. Sorry for talking so much. I mentioned the art, the SPAC, the engineering study. I talked to Mary Davis Wallace today, and it looks like the artwork in the roundabout at 14 is to be moving ahead. It's a consent agenda item in a couple weeks. If the commission approves that, we'll move ahead and then look at the art on the sculpture at 10th as kind of a next step. I think arts and culture, that's what I've got. Associate events, Jamie?
Yeah, so as Clark said, it'll be at the Church of Redeemer again. I did actually explore a few other avenues, which were twice as expensive as that even, by the time you add in a bartender, drinks, et cetera, et cetera. So it will be October 17th. It'll start at 4 o'clock, go to 7 o'clock. And the idea behind it will be kind of the fact that condo values have been going down, and what can our residents do about it. So we're gonna have panelists on there discussing real estate, how the banks can help us out with if you have any kind of special assessments, changes in insurance laws, legal changes. So I think it's gonna be a pretty exciting panelist. And then potentially somebody from the city as well. I know David's working on that. So
Yeah,
I'll ruin the surprise if you don't have anything ready.
Yeah,
But
I've invited Steve Coburn
Okay.
to be on the panel to talk about from the angle of planning and economic support things, whether it be arts, of course, in the news with some of the governor's recent actions, and the importance of the arts, and that's part of the value proposition and how to kind of maintain that. So a group of us have played with catchy titles,
Yeah.
and I think
We're
thanks-
almost there.
we got some good things.
Yeah.
And so don't get us wrong. We don't want to dwell hyper on the negative.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, what can people do to preserve and enhance the value of their buildings, particularly some of the older buildings? And, we've heard some stupid stories about people getting on Facebook and trashing their own building.
Yeah.
A functional condo board has, something.
Yeah.
So I think in our minds, we have some interesting thoughts to share.
Yeah, and legal updates are always a huge hit too, and we're gonna have somebody's already agreed to do legal updates for us, so.
In green space, I don't think we have anything per se on that. I'll touch on that in a second. Peter, you've been very active with your groups.
Yeah, the couple of different things. The homeless committee has been working on trying to address homeless issues in a manner that we could present to the condominium associations, taking some steps in identifying frequently asked questions that condo owners have, residents have, condo associations have. Interestingly enough, through your leadership, Patrick's leadership, we're trying to come up with a library of resources which would address the frequently asked questions. We had 14, I think, and I presented them the last time in the report. You'd have to go onto the board website and look at the minutes from that last meeting. But generally, at the last committee meeting, we asked each member of the committee to select one of those questions and hold off on looking at it too deeply right now, while David and Patrick went to the AI platform and asked the 14 questions to AI to see what would come back. And pretty much, Patrick, you may want to correct me on this a little bit, but my understanding is what the AI platform did was look at all the things that were on our website that the homeless committee and others have been putting into their pages, and it looked at those things and came up with an answer for each one of the questions. In reviewing all 14, some are very good, some aren't. They all need lots of editing, and so different members will take a question, and based on the AI, they will edit, add, subtract, get new information, do a little research on it, and bring back a draft of the questions and the answers. I'm kind of excited about that because it was very onerous to think that we as a small committee, were going to research all 14 items from the startup. AI has given us a little boost, I believe, which is really good.
Patrick, can you talk a little about that? What Patrick is doing on this is jaw-dropping.
Don't get too far ahead of me.
Patrick, you got something you could say about this?
Yeah, all I can say is it's pretty much as Peter had described, is we built the AI persona simply based upon literature that DSCA had produced, and a lot of and reports, and also links to articles that we've had on our website. And I discovered in that process that we were missing some. So this is part of the process now, is to identify what other literature that we have access to that we should feed into this to build in its educational library, and then kind of educating the model on how to answer some of the questions, either elaborating on it, or no, that was wrong, or here's the correct terminology to use. So I think it's an excellent start, and it gives an opportunity to think about how others might think about the questions too. So we'll start with there, and then we're going to expand in other of the kind of issues areas that we've taken on.
Well, this is exciting stuff, and hats off to Patrick for delving
Yeah.
into it. It's a lot of work, but the potential here could be not only informative, but certainly positioning DSCA as a leading edge kind of outfit.
The other issue has come full around in our constitutional issue about the homeless persons utilizing public space was addressed by the Supreme Court with a rather unusual, well, not any more unusual than some of the other decisions, I guess, but a rather unusual position, but clarified their thinking in the legal perspective. I've gone back and have looked at the various discussions that the Supreme Court was having on their website and so forth that they published. And also compared that to the Florida statute, which was signed by Governor DeSantis and addresses the same issue and will take effect October 1 with implementation. And when you look at them side by side, I think what we see is if counties and local jurisdictions heed the Florida statute, they're well within what the Supreme Court was saying was constitutional. It also means that Florida's law is probably constitutional, and I don't know how it's going to get challenged by what aspects of. There are some people that I tried to get a hold of this week that are out of town on vacation who might have more knowledge about that. But we're in pretty good shape, but I think the city, we're going to have to encourage the city to become proactive on this, because I would be interested in seeing how the city is going to develop its plan that has to be submitted to the Secretary of Family, in the state, we have a Secretary of Family Issues, takes care of foster care and so forth. I can't remember the exact title. I'm having a Biden moment. And so it's going to be interesting to see what the state's going to come up with. I mean, what the city's going to come up with as a plan to meet the requirements of the state statute. I think we DSCA Homeless Committee, along with the help of Catherine. Catherine, thank you for what you've been pushing in on that too. We need to come up with some strong suggestions that may aid the city as soon as we know who's going to be doing that. Maybe D. Jones or maybe somebody else. But that's where we are with a lot of exciting times, and it will have some budgetary implications probably that I don't see in the present.
And I might add that Chief Trichet is our guest speaker in August, so it could be a timely discussion with him. There may be some more information that he'll have to share. Okay. Did you want to say anything about City Watch, or?
I can.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to figure out where to make that report. You know, for people who may not have remembered, the Homeless Committee specifically has folded in with the City Watch program that a committee of which about 50 or 60% are also duplicative of the Homeless Committee, because there are so many issues tied together. And after efforts at piloting some of these issues, some of these social media platforms in which we were trying to enhance and raise and record and file issues around the 6 categories that we had defined, we've pretty much come to the conclusion that what the chief asked for was a crime watch program. And he wanted a crime watch program basically because during the pandemic, many of the prior neighborhood crime watch programs went into dormancy, and they have not all, or many of them have not come back online again. And he was hopeful that we would develop a model that could be used downtown, and we've been working on that and finding geographical areas and so forth. And we pretty much have said, hey, the chief wants to see something, say something program. Let's develop that and make it a hybrid model and start to build in some components into that we can handle easily and communication methods. So we are moving forward on a more traditional kind of crime watch program that will look at some other issues beyond suspicious behaviors and actual criminal reports. We still have possibly a way to report fix-it issues by making the community more aware that the city has a good fix-it program and publishing that number as part of the crime watch program, or using SPD's non-emergency number to report some things, although the SPD non-emergency number generally pushes you into the county communication centers and immediately jumps you into a 9-point menu, of which most of the menu items don't relate to anything you might want to have put on a crime watch. So I talked a little bit to Officer Robbins today about how we might handle that, and we're trying to come up with more criteria on best use of the 911 program. The Sarasota Police Department's mantra is, in doubt, call 911, and let us, the experts, figure out what to do with it. So that's where we are, and we're making progress on that. We talked about how we would facilitate this program amongst the condo associations and in the community general, what marketing strategy we might have to use. AI has come into effect on this too. If we wanted to have a logo or branding going along with this, we have some AI suggestions, and we'll continue to bring this forward. But I think we're going to finally meet the chief's request and put something together and present it to him. It's been a long slog up the hill.
Thank you.
One thing, could I just add one other thing to that too, as well as, I mean, we came upon something regarding the Citizens Police Academy, which everyone seems to be familiar with. I am not, and I'm intending to sign up for it. I think that as part of our mission to educate, especially when it comes to the homeless and the City Watch committees that we have, I think that this could be pretty important, because the city police are involved on both of these issues. And I think we need to understand their challenges as well. So I would like to promote this a little bit, especially within DSCA members and people in the downtown, to try to get a better understanding of some of the challenges that are going to be coming in the wake of the new laws that are coming regarding the homeless, and just with our increasing population downtown as well.
And apologies to you on Zoom. There's a party out on the patio here, so if there's some background noise that's coming through.
I don't hear it. I don't hear it at all, so that's good. Oh, sorry about that. Okay.
Transportation, Roger?
Well, the Bay Runner operation, of course, has been phenomenally successful. And it's so good that the county has asked the city to consider letting them run it, since they're doing one on Siesta Key. But they still want the city to make a financial contribution to keep it running. And the city is considering what to do in that regard. Another aspect of that, the county staff was looking at perhaps a Siesta Key downtown product, connecting downtown with Siesta Key. It was proposed by the county transportation staff. And it looks like there might be a popular system, but it appears that the county is not interested in expanding its expenditures in transportation. So that probably is not going to go anywhere in the short term. We were particularly interested in the county's on-demand service, which is pretty nifty. For $2, you can ride across the bridge to Lough and Longboat. And they we seem to have been a bit short-sighted in delineating downtown. And we've encouraged expansion of that, and that may depend again on the county's willingness to budget additional funds for items, but that certainly seems to be going well. The Breeze 76, the airport to downtown hotels, haven't seen any data on it. I've only heard that it doesn't have a lot of riders. And hasn't caught on in that sense yet. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. And then in the larger sense about downtown transportation, there's been some articles and some discussion about electric bicycles servicing general areas such as downtown. That would be perhaps something replacing the scooters or the scooter system that's downtown. I think this is extremely popular in Europe, of course, and I have to say I've seen a huge number of, rephrase that, a lot of people, older people, are interested in electric bicycles. And so I think that's something in the future of downtown, which gives us implications on our transportation downtown about safe bicycle paths, connecting paths, and what happens within that context. So that's all I'd like to say at the moment.
Yeah, and I think a couple things. The county, the city commissions are having a joint meeting. I believe it's August 28th. And I believe they've mutually agreed that transportation is one of their agenda items. Roger and I continue to make the case, looking ahead, whether it's the Rosemary downtown, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 more people downtown in the next, pick a number, 7 years or so, unless there's some black swan event. But can we, for example, I think Roger's on-demand thing cuts off at Fruitville. Is there one simple thing, is it extended up to 10th or 12th or something, or 14th, yeah, but longer term, I think the idea of a I-ride kind of thing, bringing back, or a circulator, if you've got the Bay trolley going like this, you've got another one going to the Bay Park Way, the Rosemary town. So we're hopeful. It seems like I've watched the county meetings, and one of the places where they want to have the knives out is on the transportation, public transportation things. I think that's all done on transportation. Zoning committee, wow, I don't want to get too far in the weeds on this. There was a community workshop a week or 10 days ago concerning the potential vacation of an alley in between Toasted Mango and the derelict motel. Developer is asking for a vacation of that without a site plan. It's a contract purchaser. The working concept that was presented was up to 250 condos, 250, an 18-story component, and then as you move back behind toward Coconut, it has to step down to 10. At the community workshop, there were 35 people or so there in person. I would say a third of them were first-time community workshop attendees. And you should see the look on some of their face when they heard Peter was there, that you mean you can ask for an alley vacation without a site plan? Any idea what you're gonna do? So the developer there got some feedback, shall we say. What the developer there is verbally saying he's willing to do is enhanced street features with maybe a setback or wider sidewalks, canopy trees. The question is, you know, is there any way that would make up for the loss of airflow or light from losing that alley? So the ball's in their court. They have not yet applied for a vacation request. So the next step, they do that, and it goes to the DSC. So.
Well, I think Patrick was there too, and I think he made some good points based on his planning board experiences and the vacation of 60,000 square feet. And if we're giving away that amount of land, what's the public benefit? And how do we equate public benefit to that much land giveaway? And it really isn't a giveaway by the city, because as I understand it, to vacate that alley, it would go back to the property owners. The city doesn't own that land after they decide that they're going to give it back for vacation. So I think there's some issues, but I was impressed by the civility of that meeting. I thought the developer and his attorney, site inspector, did a good job trying to hold the temperature down. And I thought the 35 residents, and most of them spoke, did a good job of not raising the temperature, but tried to make an informed meeting. It was a very useful community workshop. The problem was that the horse was well before the car. Or the car was well before the horse.
Yeah, so to be continued.
Yeah.
Hey, David,
Yes.
if I could just add there, yes, I too thought it was very civil in that, but it also seemed that there was not as much awareness, and again, we only had Brianna from the city staff there, but whether or not the environmental impacts. There's a big difference between closing off a dead end alley up, 2 or 3, 4 miles north of downtown, but to take an alleyway that directly abuts a 6-lane highway within 1,000 feet of the bay and say it's not going to have any environmental impacts. You're adding, I forgot the number, but there's like 8 lots that are going to go up 18 stories, and just the heat index added from 2 tall towers by themselves, even if they didn't vacate the alley. And then you take away all of the cooling vegetation that exists today or could be there to keep that cool, not to consider stormwater management. And from what I've seen with the way the calculations in the EDCM or wherever for calculating how big a vault you need to capture stormwater, as was proved a few weeks back, are inadequate for the increased storms we're gonna get. And we know the temperature overall is going up. So it just seems like there may be something more that DSA can do, not only in helping to educate our members as to the community workshop process, et cetera, but the environmental impact and just the impact to their walkability. And clearly the fact that while the city does not own the alleyway, all of the streets and alleys that the city doesn't own are dedicated to the public. And the city administration simply holds that for the public good. And to sell off the public good for no dollars is inconceivable in such a critical area with all the development around it. So I think there's a lot of education that needs to be done on that. Quote, vacating an alley has a huge impact when you consider all the other factors that went into the downtown master plan of laying out and drawing out the streets and alleyways, and all that they do to handle not only traffic, but water management, all the other city functions that go on through our alleys. So I think it's a continuing thing, and we know that there's another workshop coming up in a few weeks for Cross Street over on the other side of Ringling, and a huge impact there.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, Peter Blanton.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to kick in because I think that's on that workshop. I mean, the net profit of being able to build over that city alley, it was like $30 million or so, incremental net profit to the developer, because it's a substantial amount of space and you go up, most of it 18 floors. So, and there were a lot of negatives to closing off that alleyway, and there was, limited discussion of how, substantial public good that would be returned.
Right. And I would add, the developer had started to make the case that it was a safety issue, the FDOT, or there was the implication that there were a lot of accidents where that alley hit 41. And I had the police data pulled, and that is not the case at all. There's virtually, the last 5 years, like 0 accidents. Okay, it's back into the developer's court. They got an earful. The next thing, again, without getting too much detail, there was at Monday's city commission meeting, there was a matter of removing a proffer, modifying proffers related to some parcels around the Encore townhomes at Coca, and without getting into detail, it was wisely, I think, kicked back to the planning board with what these folks, and I spoke that it only seemed logical to me. They came forward with their proper modifications literally 20 minutes before the discussion was going to start in detail. So again, some of you are familiar with this, but it would take a while to get into the detail about this. It's going back to the planning board, and I think that's a balanced, wise kind of path. Bay Park Conservancy, Bob, you have any?
Well, sort of a recap of the 17th meeting that they had, with the workshop that they held over there. Basically, it's anytime you want to build something on water, you've got to get everybody to dot the I's and cross the T's. And they're rebuilding the seawall, but the dock itself, some of the parameters of the dock exceed what you're able to do without going through the hearing process and everything. So the hearing was sort of the beginning. I guess it's they want to do the pilings, the 15 feet, I guess, and the max, if you go over 10 and a half feet, you need to go through the approval process. So the community meeting was sort of a process of getting that all approved and to go through that. But having gone through getting stuff built on water, well, just look at how long it's taking to get the Sunset Pier done for the new section or the existing section of the bay. Takes a long time to get that through because it has to go through so many different layers. So this was sort of an extension of that. So we'll see how long it takes them to actually be able to build the docks. It's 22 spaces they basically want.
Everybody please mute on Zoom. Okay, CCNA, there is no update. They aren't meeting in the summer on the Rosemary Park. Don't fall over. But today the debris was removed and it's rough graded for the sod. So they're getting closer to bollards. You call them the light bollards, are quite pleasant. There's about 15 of them are in place. The Rosemary District Association Board, for what it's worth, has recommended that the park be named Overtown Square. We made that recommendation. We had developed a number, I'm on that board, a number of criteria, which we had communicated with the city. We did not know that the city went out with a survey on this. So we were not able, the RDA board was not able to put context. I would submit that 80% of people may be getting that. survey don't know what Overtown is. We had a number of reasons for that, amongst other, the obvious reasons, but it is a square. It is in the middle of a square district. Dewani, 24 years ago, had referred to it as a town square or something like that, the commons, if you will. And we, the RDA board, now I speak for myself personally, can do that as a community engagement point. We have a pretty diverse population, renters, owners, less well-off folks, less well-off people. And we thought the name Overtown Square kind of communicate was the right kind of choice for a number of reasons. So we'll see, it will go to the commission for a vote. I don't know how. We had proposed that we go to prep with it first, and for some reason, somebody didn't like that or whatever. So it's in a little bit of never, never land, but the Rosemary board has gone on record as supporting the Overtown Square naming. Hopefully that may prevail.
But we don't know the timeline of that.
Nope. I
Survey
think,
closed, right? On the 30th, that wasn't the survey done on the 30th?
yeah, it's closed off. They only did it for a week or 10 days.
Yeah, it was very short, yeah.
So, again, my beef with the survey is there was no context.
Yeah.
Do you like five or six different names, Rosemary Park or whatever park, but there was no setup, if you will, for our background. So
Is the Rosemary board that we're associated with going out to ask groups like us to support their decision?
Well, I think that might be the next
I would
step.
suggest that to them.
Yeah.
I would suggest that the Rosemary board at least send a word to us so that we can consider it.
And the Rosemary board is considering doing our own survey, but then my eyes roll about how many surveys we're going to do. So our hope on the park is something like there's a ribbon cutting as soon as it's done, and then we're thinking about like a party in September. So I don't, again, some of this is Marlon's call, but hopefully the darn thing will, keep moving ahead. We made some good progress. The embroidery is going to be what kind of final trees we get, and that's a big want of the neighborhood. So that's pretty much all I've got to say about the Rosemary. Jamie, we have associate members, and let me just preface this, Steve, and how much we appreciate you, how much we appreciate the associate members, and we know at times, your recognition comes toward the end of the meeting, but that's not that we don't appreciate your participation, your financial participation. From Clark, we run a little bit on a shoestring. So come on up and tell us what's new. You got some exciting things.
Well, actually, I think all of you know me by now, and I don't think I have to tell you about the expansion of Hotwire's fiber optic high-speed network in Sarasota. Actually, what I wanted to just announce to you today, we are very involved in the Community Association Institute, CAI, which I think most of you are familiar with as community and board leaders. As part of that, we have tried to do what we can to give back to those of you who serve on boards and organizations like this. We are strongly in favor of doubling your salary, and that has not gone over very well so far. However, we are co-sponsoring an event on August 6th in Venice. And David and I will share information with you if you'd like to distribute it. But it's called Mindful Maintenance, and it basically targets property managers and association volunteer leaders, focused on how can you better build mental endurance
for the jobs that you do. It is often a thankless job, I don't need to tell you. The program is very exciting. It's a full day program, a very modest cost. If you're CAI members, it's only $10, and you get breakfast and lunch in addition to the entire program. But there's also a very interesting program in the afternoon, which I think needs a little more focus. It's called De-escalation Tactics and Situation Awareness, talking about non-compliance, conflict resolution, verbal and nonverbal communication red flags, social media bullying, and dealing with difficult situations in your associations, and what to do in an active shooter situation. So I would encourage you, if you are interested, David, I will pass it along to you for distribution, but it's going to be a valuable program, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Okay, great, thanks, Steve. Yeah.
I'm on your party, I'm an attorney with Bergs and.
Okay, come on
Come
over
on
here
up.
so they can see you.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm really liking this idea of de-escalation classes. I think some attorneys that I have as opposing counsel. So I know Jamie Deanna has been chatting with you about our firm doing illegal updates, and she is we're all very excited about that. We've been very involved with legislation lately. We have actually, to put in a plug for Deanna, she drafted one among very many proposals for the tolling of the statute of repose that's on DeSantis's desk, and hers got chosen out of a bunch of construction defect attorneys who had proposals. So that's very exciting, and we're waiting for a response on that. But yes, we're very happy to be doing legal updates. For anyone who doesn't know, we do construction litigation in Sarasota, Tampa, all the way out to Orlando. We represent homeowners and condominium associations when things go wrong with construction or reconstruction projects. So happy to be here, and I know we'll be chatting a little bit more.
Yeah,
Thanks.
sounds great.
Thanks.
Do we have anybody on Zoom?
I don't believe so. Nope.
Okay, comments from member representatives. Rosemary, anybody on the Zoom call have any comments or questions, I guess, for the board to ask?
I'm good, David. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thanks, Rosemary. Okay, then our next meeting is August 7th with Police Chief as our guest speaker, so we're hopeful to have a good turnout for that. Anything else, anybody? Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, for being here. I know busy you folks are these days. So with that said, let's adjourn the meeting and have a glass of wine. Thank you.